Street cred sports. Street cred sports. I'm crossing over. I'm Euro stepping.
Hello, this is Keenan of Street Cred Sports Training, and welcome to another episode of Time to Ball. This is episode 99. Okay, one away from 100, and this dude right here.
Let's go.
Hey, he look like one of those dudes on the show. There's a show I've been watching called Love Island.
Oh, I heard about it.
I wasn't trying to get into it, but I kind of got into it, and the premise was cool. But like what you did this, like when they show him, like when they introducing him, Lee Williams from El Paso, Texas, and you do this, and then they say, and then you start talking. I like a Southern girl. I'm looking to have fun, and I'm gonna show these girls what I'm about. That's exactly what you look like when you did it.
What is the show about?
All right, so the show is about you bring like 5 women and 5 men.
Okay.
And they're looking for love. So everybody comes understanding that they're going to be an opportunity for them to fall in love with somebody or be somebody that they can really strongly have a connection with.
Random people.
Random people. Now,
okay.
How random it is, I don't know. But these are, strangers. They get them in there. They put them in situations. There's just a lot of mingling, right? They're talking. Mm-hmm. You have the ones that have that connection when they first start talking and stuff. And then, some of them start to gravitate to each other. They start to, like, hey, I'm vibing with you. And then they have opportunity to say, hey, you know what? I want to couple with this person. So they couple, and then, like, they have to sleep in the same bed, right? And then they'll have these challenges. And these challenges are where they're like, they gotta, they often gotta kiss, the person they're with, or they're getting to kiss other people.
Oh, wow.
Right?
That's messy. Eh?
But like, it is messy, and it's like, they're okay with it because they know they're all having a connection. But what starts to happen is, if you have a person that's like, they start to weed people out. They boot them off the island if they don't have a connection with anybody, right?
I see. Okay.
But then they bring more people on. So now the new people they bring on, sometimes you have people who was feeling the person they with, but then this new person comes on, they're like, oh, like I need to holler at this person, right? So now that could disrupt it, and then you with this new person, and then so look, I've never watched it. I watched season 7. The missus was like, let's watch. I don't even know how we got to it, how she, because she watches a lot of these stuff. But my baby she be on it, right? So I was like, all right, I ain't had nothing to do. I was like, man, I'll watch one. And then I was like, it was pretty cool. The thing that I liked was that they were generally cool with each other, right? Like the women were cool with each other. There were no cat fights. The men were cool with each other, and you had an occasional argument, but they were still like, everybody was vibing with each other, like really pulling for each other.
That's cool, I think.
But yeah, just lately it started to change, because the reason I continued to watch it was because there was this one dude, his name was Jeremiah. He was vibing with this girl named Huda, right? And they were clicking. Now, in any relationship, it's all sweet at first, and then you have a little disagreements and arguments, right? Well, the other dudes was like, nah, y'all have tunnel vision. So since you have tunnel vision, we're gonna try to boot you off the island because you're supposed to explore. Now I'm like,
is that the idea?
Ain't the ideal to find somebody you want to vibe with? Let that shit, part naturally.
Right.
And then it was like 2 dudes, were the ones that kind of spearheaded it. And then they actually, so then this was trip. They the couple was having issues, but they threw more gas on the fire, right? So they ended up splitting because he said, you're not even open to the opportunity to meet new people, right? Mm-hmm. So he starts trying to vibe with another girl. Then this other girl comes in who's like a bombshell, and her and him have a connection.
Okay.
So then they start vibing. Then they get mad at him because he's vibing with her, saying, oh, well, no, you only got tunnel vision. You ain't trying to holler at the other. But it's like, dog, they were doing the same thing. So now it's been ahead. Now they having connections. right? They booted that dude off the island.
That's crazy.
But now these other dudes are having strong connections, and it's like, but yo, that's the same thing. Like, you know, so yeah, I was like, oh no, I want to watch the downfall of these dudes.
That's for
because it got bad, man. I was like, man, come on now. Oh boy, ain't hurt nobody. If they're not gonna work, let that come out natural. But when you start throwing stuff in, then you open yourself up.
You learn something new every day. Love Island.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
I might have to watch a different season just to see if the flavors the same. But yeah, nah, it's like, yo, man, I thought this was a basketball podcast. But I'm telling you,
hey,
he had that look. I'm Lee Williams from El Paso.
That will never happen again. Understand? I will always remember episode 99 for sure. Love Island.
All right, so without further ado, we're gonna get into it right now. Things that interest us, and it should be no discussion of what the first topic is gonna be. Free agency.
NBA free agency. Yes, sir.
Free agency has taken. You know, it's like every year you be thinking, you know what, they're not going to top that. This is going to happen. That's going to happen.
Right.
But there have been some really crucial moves, right?
Absolutely.
What's your biggest move?
Well, I don't want to say biggest, but the most surprising move was Damian Lillard getting waived. There's two ways that I saw it. First, I was upset because obviously we know there's no loyalty. I understand all that, right? However, they want the players to have a little bit more loyalty than everybody else, which I don't agree with at all.
Right.
Secondly, it's almost like kicking a man when he's down.
Yeah.
You know? And so I just didn't really, as you just vibe, you just said on Love Island, vibe with that at all.
Yeah.
However, I feel that they approached him and said, hey, this is the best of both worlds. We're still going to pay you out your money.
Yeah.
You will heal and you can pick any team that you want.
Yeah.
So it was, at the same time, it was like three birds with one stone. At the same time, they took a couple chinks in the armor from Indiana.
Yeah.
Which is their competition.
Yeah.
So it was the biggest, but it was the most surprising / disappointing or whatever, what have you. And the story, the story goes that no one knows how Indiana did this because they don't have the cap space. So
Milwaukee?
I'm sorry,
yeah.
Milwaukee. They don't have the cap space to bring in the big from Indiana. But apparently they got some other moves cooking.
Yeah. Now, to that, the problem I have with it, and I get the business side. The problem I have with it is the man shouldn't have played. He shouldn't have played this playoff, knowing what he had.
Right.
And when you look at the history, you have Kevin Durant, you have Jason Tatum, you have Damian Lillard, Tyrese Halliburton. All of these guys had a strain on their calf. They come back and they tear their Achilles. Like, why nobody learned from KD's thing and not come back, right? But here's the thing. He comes back and he tries to give them, he's feeling the pressure, but he wants to compete. He gets hurt, he tears it, he's going to be out when he's going to be out. Now, Achilles tear, to me, is not going to hurt him as much when he comes back. Because he's not an explosive jumper. When you think about when Dominique had his injury, it hurt Dominique because
the style he played. Mm-hmm.
It didn't really hurt Kevin Durant because he's not an explosive jumper, right? That's not his game.
Right.
But he does this, try to help the team. He gets hurt, and then he gets waived. So now that next person who's looking at possibly playing with a calf strain, if they say no, organization is going to kill them. Like, dog, did you see what happened to this?
These guys, as well.
These guys left. These guys were out for a year. This guy they actually got rid of. Now, there are some people saying that they were looking to possibly move him because they just felt like it wasn't a fit. I didn't think it was a fit for this particular reason. in order for that dynamic to work with Lillard and Giannis, Lillard had to be the primary ball handler, setting the screen, the two-man screen, and letting Giannis go off of that. Giannis was the primary ball handler. And in doing that, I'm not saying in certain situations you couldn't have him, right, but Giannis dominates the ball.
He does. Lillard
needs the ball. So Lillard is now just kind of relegated to a catch and shoot. I'm going to stand over here. You're going to draw. That doesn't work with him.
Yeah, I see your point to that. But I think Giannis is more the ball handler in the full court setting. Yeah, in the half court, he's not really the primary ball handler.
How is his decision making?
Oh, his decision making is absolutely amazing.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Giannis is?
Oh, yeah.
I don't see that. I mean, okay, hold on.
Or dribble, spin, dunk.
Okay, but what? Okay, so that's like almost Luka-like, where he's gonna get his points. Mm-hmm. He's gonna get to the basket, but he passes when it's obvious that he doesn't have a shot.
Yeah,
when I say that, what I'm saying is, I've never seen him say, "Hey, we're running this set for you to get a bucket. We're going to run this play for you to get a bucket." It's either predicated on I'm getting the ball, I'm drawing, and yeah, that's a great thing. But there are times where they build that wall, and there are certain teams that defend him well that he can't do what he normally does. So, like if you have Gary Trent, who's hit 2 or 3 threes, why not keep running the same play with him holding the ball and running the set to get Gary Trent another 3? You see what I'm saying?
Well, I hear you, but I don't hear you because pass to who? Gary Trent is not synonymous with winning a championship. I hear you, but I'm saying if I'm Giannis, I'm not passing the ball either. Now,
if he's hit 3 threes in a row, you're not trying to run another play to get him a shot? Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. I'm not saying we're running plays, but if a dude get hot, your mentality, if you have the ball, is we need to get him the ball. We need to keep riding and getting him the ball. If he hits 3 in a row, then you get him like 2 more shots and he misses, then you continue going what you're doing.
But double teams don't bother Giannis. That's another problem.
It's not and that's that right there. What you said is the problem. It doesn't have to be about bothering. Mm-hmm. It's about, I need to make sure these guys can get shots when I know they're, like Charles Barkley said it. Charles would say, well, I know I'm going to get my points, but let me get Kevin Johnson off tonight. Let me get Dan Marley off tonight, because that's going to help me make things even easier. Because even if they're not going to if Gary Trent has hit 3 or 4 threes, they're going to start paying attention to him because they know he can shoot. Let me see. If Bobby Portis has hit 3 or 4 threes, they're going to let him shoot, right? Because he's not known for maybe hitting 5 to 7 threes in a game.
I hear you, but I don't hear you. Okay. And what I'm saying is this. What you're saying is completely right with the different personnel.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's to me, that's the flaw in Giannis's game, and that's the flaw in Luka's game. And yeah, they won a championship, but then when they won a championship, who was handling the ball? It was Middleton. It was Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
Giannis was not handling the ball that much in that situation.
That's what I'm saying. They got Dame for the half court.
Right. But Dame wasn't handling the ball in half court.
Yeah.
No, not like that. Not like he wasn't the primary. It was kind of a, you get yours, we running this set, I'm going to get mine, we running that set. Giannis handled the ball way too much this season.
Yeah. So I can see you feeling that way, but ultimately, that's on the coach. And he's had his issues.
Well, yeah, that's another copy. All right, so let's move on to other parts of free agency.
Yeah.
How you like Houston's moves?
I love it. I really love it. And I think people, first of all, I love their coach and how he coaches. I don't like his antics on the sideline. I think he still thinks he's playing. Yeah, but that's his competitive nature. But you got to really tone that down.
Yeah, you got to keep him away from your girl.
Especially,
you got to keep him away. You got to keep him away from your girl, dog. Do not invite Ime Udoka to the barbecue, unless he coming with somebody already, and make sure that they keep him on his arm at all times.
With Coach Udoka, it is you need a men only facility. Now, at the same time, I think he needs to tone it down because of what has happened in the past. There's too many jokes. There's too many things that people
right here, right now.
Right. So, but however, I think he is a extremely good coach. I feel that people are really not understanding what that move did for Houston. They're thinking, okay, they lost an asset. They lost an asset they really didn't want.
Now I had a conversation with my man on I hate podcast.
Okay.
And he's in Houston, right? And he's a huge Manny Rich. He's a huge Jalen Green fan. He's like, man, they're not gonna get rid of him because he runs the stuff with the crowd. And I said, look, he's had 3 years to show progression to show that he's that dude. I said, when they needed him to show that,
never showed
he
up.
didn't do it. I said, that's why they got rid of him. And he was like, he's like, I'm bummed now because now tickets were like $16 to $20. Now they're gonna skyrocket with KD.
Doubt.
I'm almost, as much as I love the KD, that Finney Smith signing, I think was even bigger.
Tough.
I think that was even bigger, man.
People are not. It didn't get Finney. It was going to be a problem. That just makes it almost illegal.
Yes.
Houston will be a problem. Now, Green got traded. He should have got traded for his choices of females. Number one. You're 21 years old and you dating a 40-year-old.
Hey man, ain't nothing wrong with that. If it's a man who's 40 years old dating 21-year-old,
that's different.
We don't worry about that.
When people are coming up saying, "Oh, hi, is that your mom?" That's a problem.
Okay.
That's a problem. So he should have been traded off that. But then it's not that it's okay. Take the age out. It's who it is.
Who is
Drea?
Who's Drea?
Drea.
I mean, they might not know who Drea is.
Drea is a personality. She's been on Love and Hip Hop.
Okay.
She is completely drama. She's dated multiple athletes. She's, tried to get impregnated by multiple athletes. And she's interested in checks and not making it. I'm just saying.
You were talking about me being on one. By the way, my auntie got mad, called me a potty mouth for what I said. So I'm sorry, auntie. But he on one now. Without the potty mouth, he on one.
I'm just saying, man. Like when choice is sacred. It's sacred.
That's true.
You got, especially when you're in that space, you got to understand that.
But what if he genuinely is feeling her, right?
Everybody has felt her.
Man, let's move on.
That's the problem.
Let's move on. What do you think about Indiana? Letting Miles Turner go.
You know what? I think that's a big mistake. In my opinion, I think it really leveled up Milwaukee. Is really going to help me in Milwaukee.
But
people don't see him as a main piece because Siakam is the main scorer for that team. But he's more than a serviceable big. He really is.
Well, he was getting killed in the pick and roll against them. He was getting killed in the pick. But that's not even too much of an issue to me. Now his rim protection is great. Where was he offensively? He didn't show up at all in the finals. He was, especially when there were opportunities for him to show up, he didn't show up. Right now, they had
his touches though were limited. I'm not, and again,
okay, I'll give you that. But if you're the guy, well, you know what, that is interesting because Siakam's supposed to be like one of the guys, and there were times where they weren't getting touches. So I'll agree with you that. But when he did get touches,
well, you can expect that from a cat lover and somebody who has that walk that he has. He's a little soft. Yeah.
A what?
He's a cat lover. Like he has his cat on Twitter. He's soft.
What's wrong with loving?
No,
man, I got 3 dogs.
He's dribbling in the cat. And
I got 3 dogs and 2 cats.
Purring with the cat, man. No.
I don't do all of that.
Yeah. He kissing the cat in the mouth.
Look.
I'm sure he's doing that. man, look.
My ultimate goal is to have a video where I teach my dogs how to dribble a basketball or something. I'm working on that. It's a work in progress.
Okay.
Now, teaching them how, but like all of the, okay, I get what you said, but like
His walk alone will tell you he is not going to show up in the playoffs. His dress code alone is this guy has shown up in dresses.
no,
man.
Did somebody give you the wrong drink this morning?
No, man. I'm just being honest, man. Like
you are just on fire.
No, man. I'm just literally that really has been burning me inside watching the playoffs and watching him.
Hell yes.
He is not a fit.
Wow.
Not a fit.
All right.
Which is why he didn't show up.
I'm gonna have to use that disclaimer as well, huh?
Those of you cat lovers, no disrespect to you. It's not the loving of cats.
Hey.
It's always how you love that cat.
Man.
Your expression with it. Okay.
Hey.
Now, part of it is I'm scared of cats. I don't do cats.
Oh, you scared of it? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, so that's a little ulterior motive with that.
No,
huh?
not at all. Not at all. Like I said, his relationship with the cat is what disturbs me a little bit.
Hey, look, well, sweetheart, Miss April, I'll have a talk with her about it. We won't bring up dogs because my wife I love our dogs too. She loves her dog. They helped her when COVID hit and we didn't have the kids. The dog really helped her out.
That is a real thing.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. But April can do whatever she wants to do. April, if you want 12 cats, because I like how you got on him. You got on him last week about I don't like a team. I like football players. Way to get on him.
Man, you crazy.
I love that. I love that.
Crazy.
You held him accountable.
Okay, you got a team, right? Who's your
I
team?
do. My team is the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay, yeah, we need to be quiet because they don't know how to spell Super Bowl win right now, right?
And they cannot spell stay healthy. For sure.
But you enjoy that? You enjoy going through all that, like watching how miserable y'all are. Man, LO, this is a funny story. LO is a San Francisco 49er fan. He's my longest trainer. He's my biggest trainer as far as, training kids and stuff. He been with me the longest.
49ers, boy.
There were times on Sundays where I would tell parents, you might want to cancel that training because if San Francisco loses, he gonna take it out on your son. So then it'd be like fourth quarter, they be losing, and I look at that parent and I say, watch how the training changes. Next thing you know, L is having the kid go. I mean, he wasn't beating the kid up, but the kid was working. He's like, oh, that was a great training. And I was like, you might not want to play.
Upset, huh? I'm a realistic fan. Other than some of these Cowboy fans. When my team is not gonna do well, I just call it out. You got to have faith. No, let's just live in reality. I knew what was gonna happen, and I knew at a certain time of season they do get injured. However, I was just be competitive. My expectation.
Well, I already know who won that. She tried to come on with a little, Alvin Kamara jersey, like that was gonna help her argument. That shit did. Oh, I'm sorry, Auntie. That stuff did not work. It didn't work. I won that argument.
She pulled the carpet from you, man.
Yeah, she tried to.
Okay.
Yeah. See how she is by week 3 of the season.
Stop. Man.
She'll be like,
come on, man.
You right, baby. I need to be a fan of the sport, this fan of the team. Cause man, hey,
they got a rookie quarterback, man.
I'm gonna start using the Ring camera to record when she's in the game, dog. It is must see TV. It is must see TV. So
I can imagine.
Right, so we're gonna move on because there are some other things free agency wise, but we're gonna move on to the next subject. Now, she happened to show me something. My wife, she happened to show me something, a video of a guy complaining about how pro players charge for their camps. Okay. What he was specifically talking about was NFL players who, if you don't know, sometimes when they put on these camps, they're sponsored.
Yeah.
They also get money for the NFL to do these camps. So a lot of times these camps are quote unquote paid for, but they will still charge a premium penny for kids to get in these camps. And what he was saying is that it was a scam. You shouldn't be doing that. My position is, if they want to pay that money, that's their right.
You know, I mean, the bottom line is this, is that I have zero problem with any professional athlete having a paid for camp. The problem with some people, especially in our area, they want everything for free. You know, my mindset is a lot of, I'm not saying all of them, I'm not saying that specific athlete he was speaking of,
Right.
but a lot of them, those monies go to their foundation, which in turn help kids.
Right.
So I have zero problem with that. And so, I mean, a lot of times, depending on the athlete,
Right.
they will charge a certain price to keep some of the, you know, riffraff out.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right. Now, I need to make sure I put this in there. Apparently what set him off was he overheard NFL players laughing and joking about the fact that people were paying that much for their camps, right? And then NFL players, some wives of players were blasting him. He wanted to say he was going to do an audit and show. My thing is, obviously it's not a good look if you got a $200 million contract. I'm not saying a particular player, but let's say you got a $200 million contract. You don't need money for a camp, right? But if you're still charging, that's kind of like what I posed to her is like, look, there are politicians, you know, current and former presidents who charge a shitload of money to be able to attend their event, right? They don't need the money, but they charge it because you're there. It's up to the people to say, man, I ain't paying that.
Well, okay. So if he's going to complain about that, complain about these football trainers who have zero NFL ties, charging pretty much the same kind of money.
No, they were, I'm sorry if I misspoke. They were, according to him, they were NFL players who were laughing about it.
If you're in the NFL player camp, I'm going to just assume that you're going to get top tier instruction.
Right.
So you're paying for the instruction if you break it down.
If you charge that amount of money or whatever it is, and it's kind of a half-ran camp, not unorganized,
that's different.
You don't get anything out of it.
That's different.
Then I can see a complaint because he used the term scam, and to me, scam is if you put on something, but then you don't deliver. Right? Like if you list all of the stuff that you're going to get at that camp and they don't get half of that, I get that. But if you give it to them, maybe it's not on a high level, but you get what you seeing that you're paying for, and you're getting the access. You know, and a lot of times people are able to get pictures, they get autographs.
Right.
And to them, look, they might not have the money to go pay and get an autograph at a game. This is could be paying for a picture and an autographed jersey.
And you're going to sell the jersey 10 years later. So what are we talking about?
So you end up making your money back, right?
Yeah. Relax.
All right. So next thing we're going to get into is teams. And I'm going to say El Paso teams because I'm here. They're playing in out-of-town tournaments.
Okay.
Some, not all. Okay. Some play in tournaments, and then they win their bracket, which is great. But then they, there are posts, there are people like, yeah, we went up there and we won this. But then if you understand these so-called tournaments and you understand that there are certain divisions, a lot of these teams aren't playing in comparable divisions. So my thing would be is, if you go out there and you blasted every team that you played against, you knew you were not in the proper division.
Absolutely.
You should be in the proper division. So here's what I mean by division. I'll use okay, so I had a coach who was telling me that he played in the TABC showcase. There were 4 divisions, I believe, 3 or 4 divisions. There was a top one, and then there was a next level under that was pretty good.
Right.
And then the next two were just like, for teams that weren't that good, right?
Yeah.
They played in the top one. No. They played in the one below the top one because he felt like, this should be pretty good. And they ended up playing some other teams that shouldn't have been in that division. They should have been higher. And they lost, he said, but the games were competitive. But then you had teams that should have been higher,
in that top tier division,
but they were playing in the second division, and they won, and it was like, hey, so like, to me, it's like, no, don't do that. Because you're giving the kids and parents a false sense of how good they are.
Absolutely.
And then when you play against elite talent in a big type of tournament where you don't get to choose what division you go.
Yes, sir.
You in that division.
Yes,
it's one division. Right now, most tournaments have a couple of layers, but they're going to be like, if you want to get looks, you can't play in the lower divisions.
And to your point, everybody wants a scholarship, right? But we want to take these shortcuts to get there. And that's a shortcut. Like, we've had, specifically El Paso teams. I've traveled all over the country. So we've seen El Paso teams out of town have, let's just say, for example, 2025 kids, right?
Right.
2025 kids, everyone and their grandma knows you should be playing 17U.
Right.
They're playing 16U. 16U. So my thought is, like, what does that do for you?
Right.
Everybody's about to win, and how you win is really leveling up your skill, getting an idea of where you are. That's why you want to play those teams.
Right.
You've put in the work, and you felt like, hey, I'm at this level now, let me go ahead and bump up. Those losses or maybe those struggles, like, that is valuable intel.
Right. Right.
It tells you where you're at.
Right.
I mean, and it's a bad look for this city when individually or, as a team, you go out and play in a low division and then pop off and get on Instagram and show your trophies or, do it. I don't want to do this because I got to be careful.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, it's just sad.
Right.
It's just really sad.
Now, I'll say this is, I've always felt that summer competition, whether it's AAU, City League, live period and stuff, to me, that should always be about competition. It shouldn't be about how many games they won. Obviously, you tend to want, now I know, like with yours, you have to win to be able to reach the mountaintop, right? That's the way that's structured. I would love to have it to where it wasn't structured on wins and losses. It was, how good do you think your team is? Your team is really good, then these are the tournaments you need to put them in. Because we're not going to judge you on whether you win or not. Now, if you get to this tournament and you're getting blasted, you can't stay in these upper tournaments. You need to pick some of the lower ones because you're not ready for that level. Right. We don't need to come in and have trophies and that kind of stuff. This is about, it's almost like open gym. When you playing, you know somebody coming in, you're not going for no trophy. You wanting to see how good you are against that competition. That's kind of how I've always viewed it. But I understand there's another component and element to it that, you guys have to kind of abide by because your job is to try to get these kids looks. So you have to go with the flow with how it is, right? Yeah.
And the last piece I'll say is college coaches are not going to want to watch you play against lower tier teams. No. They're not going to watch it. No. They don't watch blowouts. I've seen it get to 20 at halftime. They are gone.
Yeah.
Unless it's somebody that they have signed.
Right.
Okay. So just please understand that you have got to play legitimate competition when you go to tournaments.
Right.
It's very easy for a college coach or even a director of that particular tournament to know if what we call sandbagging.
Right.
Sandbagging us is, hey, I know I'm here, but I'm going to play here,
Right.
so we can look good and win, and the parents can be happy.
Right.
You have to get your parents to understand that this is not about wins and losses.
No, it
Number
shouldn't be.
one, it's about continued development
Yeah.
for some of your kids, and it's about seeing where some of your kids are.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
really important.
Right. And it's a lesson that needs to be. I really, like it's like, oh well, we can complain. I mean, I know how to fix it with just what I just said, but the reality is there are systems and stuff in place designed where you're preaching these things, but it's really not about that. And then you guys have to do what you like. Let me ask you, if you were able to play in a tournament where it was quote unquote a showcase, where you get in, or like a team camp in a sense, where you get in, you're going to play 4 to 6 games, right? You have your list, you're playing 4 to 6 games. Maybe after your 6 games, maybe they take the top 4 and put the top 4 in a single elimination Final Four tournament. But they don't have to. They just make it. Let's take the tournament out of it. Let's just say you play your 6 games. You play against elite competition. There are coaches there. Once you're done, you're done. That's what I would love to see, right? Because now we're not worried about if we won. If you put in order to get in this one, this is a top level tournament, top level showcase. You got to have these credentials to get in there, right? I think if you do more of those things, you will eliminate that. And I'm not saying that it's wrong for the El Paso team, because you still have to win your games, right? It's an accomplishment to travel wherever you travel. Your kids played. But then we're going to touch on this subject in basketball by ideology. We're going to deal a little bit in depth as to why I feel like you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah,
All right?
and there are some, I'd say, quote unquote leagues, like there's Power 24 out there. They do not, like, you have to have a special invite just to get in that
Right.
particular tournament
Right.
or that season. They have what's called the S40. S40 is a really high level division where, they'll tell you, like, well, who's offered, and they'll like they wanted me to join maybe 2 years ago. They asked me for a list of players and a synopsis of their game, also what high school they played, and they do their research.
Right, right.
Now, Puma, the circuit that we're on now, like, if you win a certain amount of games or play well or do well against a certain amount of teams, like, they bump you up immediately.
Right.
So that I do like. However, I'm from the old school. When I first got into AAU, like, the director, you had to speak to the director in depth as far as who your teams are, what they are, because coaches won't watch blowouts, and they don't want you in that top division if you don't belong.
Right.
So, you got to really honestly gauge your kids and where they're at, and all that's going to do is really, really level your organization up and go from there. But that's that's just a little bit of. I'll touch on that. We'll hit it right now in the next segment.
All right. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and take a break, and then we'll be back. Okay, we're back, and we're gonna get into basketball ideology. Now, the topic we were just discussing about playing in lower divisions and coming back bragging. When I came up with the topic, when I thought about it, I didn't think about how it would lead into it, but it's gonna lead into it in a big way. So, my question, and I'll question you: How do you judge the success of a program, right? Whether it's because the core of it was about, like, quote unquote, my type of business, training. But in general, I would say, like, a training business such as myself, an AAU, travel team program such as yourself, a city league program, or I don't know. I'll leave high school out of it, because high school, there are a lot of different factors, right? So we'll just say, how do you judge success of your program?
For me, it's about really making kind of the old adage, I left it better than I got it.
Right.
And just making sure players get better, having a real each player has an idea of where they want to go, and just really guiding them in that area. And for example, like if I'm a 5'7" post player on my high school team, like knowing you're going to play at this level, like you're going to have to really change your whole game,
Right.
and be okay with that. For me, it's really to make it shorter, the development piece, because there's a lot that goes into it. The development piece, the IQ piece, like how smart your kids are getting, and then just being honestly, like, where are your kids going?
Right.
You know, I mean, that's, you know, I've had people approach me for many years. Oh man, you know, you guys you're the this and this and that, and kind of want me to advise them on how to do it. I said, man, I wouldn't argue with anybody.
Right.
I would just say, hey, judge me by how many of our kids go to school. I mean, and that's really it. And not just for the 1 year,
Right.
and come back. You know, how can you sustain that? There's a lot of work in sustaining that. And so, and then really being able to coach a lot. I see a lot of coaches. I used to be in the same space where I could only coach a player that played like me.
Yeah.
You know, I see that a lot. I even see that in certain colleges, being honest, not gonna name any names. However, you've got to be able to make sure that you can really coach that high, your best player, all the way down to that 10th player, all the way down to that player on 14U who's just learning how to jab step.
Right.
I mean, and again, what's their plan? Have a plan for each player, and have the resources and understanding of giving them the exact idea or the plan of getting there. That's just how I see it.
Right. Well, when I came up with the thought, it's like, well, if you're gonna judge success, you do need to have, like, well, what does success look like? Is it wins? Is it improvement, like what you said? Is it kids getting scholarships? Is it once kids, and I'll say kids because of what we're our space.
Absolutely.
Once they finish, do those players, ex-players, tend to gravitate back to you, where they always, you know, reach out to you, how you doing? Like in my case, they want to come and train with us. In your case, they some players come, they're looking. You got one that's coaching. So I think for me, you have to define what your success is going to be, because I would say wins should actually be taken out of the equation, because for you could win every tournament you play in. Did those kids still get better? Right? Because if they played talent that wasn't, if they weren't pushed in facing adversity in certain ways, they're not able to show the improvement that's necessary for them to get out of it, right?
Yeah. I left one thing that's probably the most important. That's relationships.
Yeah, he didn't leave it out. He was like, oh damn, he said relationship. Let me say relationship.
No, did you say relationships?
Yeah, I'm just messing with you, man.
So
I'm just messing with you.
The relationship that you build, like for example, we have 5 young ladies that are coaching right now in the college ranks.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 or 4 at the Division I level, then NAIA and D2.
Right.
So a lot of those relationships. We knew the coach, we made a call. A lot of them, like the player kind of said, hey coach, what do you think? I mean, I've been to weddings, I've watched our alumni alumnus have their own kids.
Yeah.
So, you being involved, it's bigger than basketball.
Right.
And that's what I always say.
Right. Now, I don't have the extensive resume he does.
Stop it.
But I'm in the neighborhood because we got a couple of ex-players that went to coaching. One's currently coaching on D1 level. Now, yours is more prestigious. I didn't even view it when I started this as all of the things that have come out of what we do. Mm-hmm. So that's how I judge my success, the success of this program, because as long as we have been doing it, it hasn't gotten stale or it's dropped off. It's actually improved and evolved in different ways that I wasn't even thinking. But I look at some of these, it's maybe a couple of travel teams or a couple of teams that quote unquote travel, and I see some of the things that they're doing and how they promote it, and it's like, yeah, but that's not going to help your kids, because here's the ultimate thing. If you're listening, you look at a team that you've had since 5th grade. You've had this team throughout elementary, middle school, into high school. You have great chemistry. But the question is, when you had them, when you were going to start doing these things, what was the purpose of doing these things? Did you say, hey, we're just going to enjoy, play chemistry, have fun, and do what we do? If that was what your goal was, then that's how you can judge the success. But if your goal was, I'm going to get you guys to colleges, you're going to get looks and get signed. Mm-hmm. Throughout that program, you get to the end and you don't get any kids signed, then you have to say that your program was a failure.
Absolutely. Completely.
Right? You have to say it was completely a failure. And too many times I've seen that happen where that's going, and kids and parents are promised one thing, but it's not being delivered. That has to be looked into. Look, I don't really consider it a knock. I consider it constructive criticism. That, like, look, you have to sometimes look and say what you're wanting to do. Mm-hmm. If you're just like, look, my kid doesn't get a chance to play enough, so I'm going to create a team so they can continue to play and develop, mm-hmm. and whatever happens, I'm with that. Right. But the minute you start talking about this, I can get you here. If you don't deliver to that, then yeah, that's a failure.
And most people discuss, they talk about college because they've won a bunch of games,
right? Not
because they develop. Now, going back to this guy being all modest, the thing that you have done is you've been able to be about business and be about kids. I mean, we've had conversations, and I left. I think we had lunch one time, and I left going, why would he do that? Like, you're always looking at the competition, not as to hate or anything like that. I mean, you're always giving them the props. Hey, I like that idea, but you're always looking to level up, continue to build. What I like is keeping up with the times.
Yeah,
and that's something that I remember you were outside. Right?
Yeah,
elementary.
Outside.
So I mean, you've always found a way and had a plan.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, sometimes those plans change. A lot of times you've taken advice from people. So I mean, you've got all these components that have created what we now call success.
Right.
And so that's one thing that he's got to really give himself props for.
I will tell you this. I had someone, recently, because they see all of the other organizations that, they're doing training, they're starting leagues and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was like, man, nobody was even thinking about doing the stuff that's being done.
No doubt.
All right. Now, I'll say the league standpoint, the city of El Paso messed that up. When they changed and they stopped allowing certain things, people started looking elsewhere.
What happened?
They were changing. They had a new director that came in that was changing. Like they were charging a lot more. Teams would pay. Like if they were playing an 8-game season, they would they'd have to the second or third game to finish paying off.
Just pay as they go.
Right. Mm-hmm. But it came to where, no, we need the money at the front, right? Now, it did two things. It allowed people to just, really get the money and go. But then some people got a little turned off about what they were doing and how they were doing it. Mm-hmm. So it evolved into people starting their own leagues, right? And that's where you have that. With me, there wasn't anybody doing this, right? And then now everybody's doing it and it's fashionable. And look, there are some people out there that shouldn't be doing it. That real talk. There's some people out there that shouldn't be doing it.
Complete facts.
The question was, why do you share other organizations, posts? Why do you like other organizations? Because I'm around and I see a lot, and a lot of stuff comes to what you're pointing to, or what you like or share. And I say, look, if an organization sends me something, and if I look at it, if it's like, I'm not going to share something about them training per se, and it's not because I'm hating. It's because that's your product.
Right.
You need to promote your product just like I did when I was starting mine. Right? I didn't have anybody that was helping me. I had to learn all of that. But if you're posting a video of one of your kids that got an accolade in some kind of way, and you want to post it on mine, or you want to share it to me, I'll share it, because I'm always about helping. If a kid, if some college coach or some scout sees it and asks me questions, I'm gonna say you need to talk to them. I'm just sharing it. But the thing is like, it always looks as if you continue to help other organizations. But then they said, I have yet to see something that you've posted that wasn't about anything, that was about something that should have been shared, that another organization shared, right? And he was like, and it bothers me because it's like, you've always done for everybody, what all of the stuff you've done. And I was like, yeah, I get it. I said, look, I can't fault a person for not thinking the way I do, right? It might not just be in their thought. Doesn't mean that they're being malicious, because I have conversations and I talk to all of the, well, not all, but most of the different trainers and stuff, and I send kids to them and stuff. But it's like, I do have to say, like, nobody, and it's funny because there are trainers now that are, really, and I kind of crack up and say, I was training when you were in high school.
Right.
Right. Like, I was doing this as a business when you were in high school. Right. You weren't even thinking, you were worried about if you come make the team when I was training kids, right? And that's just kind of the evolution. So
that's facts.
I think, to your credit, like, it should be put out there more about, not only did you bring kids to your program, you got them to college. They finished and graduated from college, and now they are coaching in college. So now that gives you another avenue, because now this assistant coach that you had that's at this school, if you tell that coach, I got a player that reminds me of such and such, it's easier for them to relate because they've been around you. So now it becomes even easier for you to get more kids in school. And I've always said it when I talk to college coaches. When a coach says, yeah, I'm about to leave, right? I'm about to leave and I'm about to go in the program, I always feel bad about it. But then I turn around and say, well, now instead of one program, now I got two.
Absolutely.
Or I got three, because these coaches trust what we do. Now they might be looking for a different player that this coach is looking for, and this player I have might not fit with this coach, but that coach is going to love him.
You said something that was very important, and that's trust. And that's really trusting your word. I think just where I'm at in this town, people are very quick to say, so-and-so's Division I, so-and-so can play in college, And so when that particular person saying that, or coach, never played in college.
Right.
That particular, well, I'm going to go to JUCO. If everything fails, I'm going to go to JUCO. No. JUCO is a farm system for Division I kids.
Right.
And I've had to really advise a lot of athletes and parents, especially mine, as to never make those statements, because you sound really silly.
Right.
You tell everyone you have zero knowledge about what's going on in this space.
Right.
So, college coaches, they go with who they trust.
Right.
And that's the bottom line. You get calls all the time.
Yeah.
Asking like, and we'll talk, hey Lee, who do you think will fit here? And we'll like, okay, man, maybe here. And so, I mean, you always want to network.
Right.
Regardless of
is important.
And obviously I'm not a trainer at all, okay?
Yeah,
I would fail in this space.
Nah, he trains.
No, I don't.
He trains.
I fail in this space. I would fail. So, like, I'm always asking for advice. Even with a parent, I'm always asking, hey, Kay, you know, like, what do you think? Just because we have to get out of this space or an idea that we know everything.
Yeah.
You know? So there are many different, like, you have to have a nice circle that you can truly rely on. And that's what really helps you level up.
Right. We'll end it on this with this subject. The easiest way to figure out if your child is Division I ready is to play an open gym full of Division I kids, or play in a summer league with only not Division I, but college kids that are currently in college.
Sure.
You'll find out. Look, I actually play. I didn't realize it. I was playing in a college summer league my sophomore year.
Oh, wow.
The summer of my sophomore year, and I'm playing. I didn't know. I wasn't thinking about it. I was there and I'm playing, and some guy asked my dad, like, "Man, that kid, he can play. That's your son?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "What grade is he?" And my dad said, "Oh, he's a sophomore." He's like, "Oh man, yeah, he can play. What college is he at?" He's like, "College. He's a sophomore in high school."
Wow.
So I'm on a team with
How'd you get that opportunity?
Okay, RIP to Coach Gilliam in Dallas. He was like a Rucker style guy. He gave me my first nickname. He called me the Bullet.
Okay.
But now there were some things he did later on that came out that were inappropriate.
Were you killing people or you were just fast? Or both?
I would, yeah. It would, yeah. In the high school level, yeah, I was killing, and it was just my ability to see the floor, make quick passes, get up the court. People couldn't keep me in front of them and stuff. So I got invited. On my team, I had sophomores and juniors that were Texas Tech, SMU, Baylor, right? Now we're playing, we're competing and stuff, and I'm getting mine, right? I'm getting mine. It's still, I wasn't thinking to myself, oh yeah, I'm this and that. When my dad told him that I was in high school, the guy said he's like, oh man, he's gonna be playing. He's probably a Division I player, right? And everything like.
And look, that's how you know.
Yeah, and it's like that's what my dad was like. That's when my dad really knew how good I was. But it wasn't by design. He invited me to this because he had seen us play in tournaments in the place. It was Redbird Gym.
Redbird, yes,
Redbird Gym.
Yes, sir.
And from that, it grew. So if you really want to see how good you are, if you are, that's where you find it. Because, yo, they locking up in those leagues, man.
Yeah.
They locking up. All right, so that concludes the basketball ideology, and we got just enough time, even though this might take 4 hours to go into. You done lost your damn mind.
Let's go.
Look, we had a conversation. Sorry, Auntie. He be sending me shit, right? and messages and stuff, and he'll put these little comments on it, and I'll be like, man, what the, and sometimes I'll be training, and I'm like, I gotta ignore my phone because I'm going crazy. He sent me something that made me so mad. I wanted to just call and say, we getting on the phone right now. We doing the podcast. You lost your damn mind. I was heated. Tell him what you were talking about.
I sent you a lot of stuff, man.
I'm talking about the convo about the Warriors' decline.
I don't even remember.
All right, so what he said was, and it went back to Isaiah Thomas. Was talking to Draymond Green, saying that if KD hadn't have come, they would have been in decline. My response was they were a 73-9 They were 3-1. If Draymond doesn't do what he did, they win that series easily. And I'll take it a step further. They had 2 key injuries, just like what happened with Cleveland, right? So you didn't really get a chance to see it. Your point was that was the beginning of the end. I call bullshit.
I'm going to tell you right now. You can call it what you want to call it, but I'm going to tell you right now. If KD doesn't go to the Warriors for that 2-year stretch, and I'll say 3 because he got hurt in the finals. There is no way they had that amount of success. Period. Draymond does not get into the Hall of Fame. Curry probably still gets in because of who he is. And Thompson would be suspect. They would not. KD was the answer for every problem they had. Now, I'll say it this way. First of all, Curry hadn't even got an MVP until KD left.
No, he was supposed to get it.
No, he was not.
The people who voted actually said that when they look back at it, they don't know why they gave it to Iguodala. They said everybody. He sent what's his name to the hospital.
Steph Curry. I understand that. Steph Curry was not a finisher. He was a turnover machine in the fourth quarter.
Okay, turnovers, yes.
Yes. So when you turn the ball over in the fourth quarter, you can't be a finisher. So
You can still finish.
well, I could finish a marathon. It might take me 5 days, but I'll finish. So anybody can finish, but it's how you finish.
No, I'm sorry. We gotta get you in the 1K now, because I want to see you finish a marathon. We gotta do it, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, y'all better get me a scooter or a car. I'll tell you right
We
now.
gonna put them out, and I'm gonna run it with you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I will not be running a marathon. I have 3 torn Achilles. 3.
You don't have to run fast, dog. We can scoot. We can scoot. We don't even have to power walk.
Hey.
We can just scoot to the finish line.
Listen. Lee Ivy Williams III will not be running a marathon. However, you can say it how you want to say it. The bottom line is they had a tough time, a really tough time. And I know Draymond was out that one game, but that is my point. If they were, regardless, they should have handled that series and won that series.
Here's what throws all the shit you just said out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
They win without, he doesn't have anybody, and they beat Boston to win the championship. That throws your argument out.
Listen.
That throws it out.
Everybody knows Boston was full of youth.
No. Where they hurt.
Stop it.
Where they hurt.
Stop it.
They were full. They were full throttle team, and they lost to them.
I'll say this. See, you going to Boston, you skipping over KD's 2 championships.
What I'm saying is the fact that if KD doesn't come,
he gonna really get mad on this one.
If KD doesn't come, they don't win. Well, they won after KD left, so that throws that whole argument out.
Ready?
Will they maybe be a dynasty?
You ready?
Who knows?
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
He learned how to finish from KD.
Oh.
That's why they won the championship against the Celtics.
So then if we flip that on KD, what did KD learn?
KD learned that all teams are not the same. And really, he's got to be a more vocal leader.
And see, by your argument, I don't even agree with this, but I'm going to put it out there based on what you said. KD needed them a hell of a lot more because his teams have been irrelevant. If that's what you're going to say.
I'm going to say this. KD realized there's so many variables in the landscape of NBA basketball, from the GM to the skills coaches, to the head coaches, even to what they eat, even to the seats in the locker room. Like all that stuff matters.
I'll say this. KD wins with Houston this year. It's solidified. I mean, to me, his legacy is already solidified. Whether he had 3 rings or no rings, he's still a top player. I don't subscribe to that, and that's a conversation we can have here about the ring culture and stuff. But he wins with Houston. He got on a team that lost in the first round, that was young, had talent. He comes in, he leads them to a championship or more. You can't deny that. But all I'm saying is, there's no way you could tell me that a 73-9 team would fall off and not win anymore. You can't.
Okay, I'm going to say this. They were going to fall off again because they really changed the NBA of how to play. They really did. I think Mark Jackson instilled the toughness and defense.
Yeah.
Kerr came in and threw in a wrench as far as the offense, and I think it was a perfect combination that the league was not ready for.
Right.
To be honest.
Yeah, and the league gets better, but you can't tell me that they wouldn't have put players in place that had other players without KD that puts them in the same position. They won 73 games.
They could have won 93, but I'm telling you right now, KD is the LeBron killer.
So let me ask you this. Before that happened,
because Iguodala was on the decline.
right. Before Draymond gets kicked out for game 6 or game 5?
It was game 4.
He gets kicked out in game 4. Did you say to yourself that there was any way that Cleveland was going to come back?
What I said was the game was going to be reffed very differently.
Did you think that they were going to come back? That was the question. Don't be sidestepping with the refs and shit. Did you think they were coming back?
You know I didn't think that.
Exactly. Nobody thought they were going to come back because they were kicking their ass. Kyrie and LeBron was doing their thing, but they were just too much for him. So to say by virtue of him messing up, they come back, they win in game 7, they tighten up and everything, that they were going to be in decline?
I'm listening to the podcast, 7 p.m. with Mello. Right?
Yeah.
This podcast? Okay. They had my man on there, the guard, hot top.
Iman Shumpert.
Shumpert. So, Shump said, and I didn't know this at all. I saw it this week. Shump said when Draymond was out that game, they all realized like, oh, okay, I know how to play him. Just everybody talk noise to Draymond. Don't say nothing to Steph. Don't
right.
And
yeah, that was his.
Yeah, that was kind of genius. He said LeBron, and of course he's gonna say LeBron. LeBron knew they were gonna win because he knew exactly what they had to do.
Plus the thing is after that, Draymond's now not playing like himself,
right?
Because he's worried about that momentum change, and now it's okay. Now I gotta be careful. I can't play with that same intensity, because I can get thrown out,
right?
And now and you know and stuff. So and it's smart. It's smart. But pre him getting kicked out, they were getting their asses blasted.
I would agree, 100%. However, in the league, you're not going to continue to win championships unless you make big time moves.
Yeah, I agree with you there because we don't know if they don't pick up KD.
Oh, we know
No, I'm saying what they lose and what they bring because they lost a lot to get KD in, right? But if KD doesn't come, who leaves? Who comes in? And who helps them continue? So, hell no.
Hey,
no.
Look,
blank no.
And what was said was, and Isaiah Thomas said this, and Draymond was hot, but he did respect Isaiah Thomas, and I appreciate that because he's from Detroit. No. Listen, what he said was, your legacy changes.
No, you can't say
Draymond's legacy changed.
You can't say that because you don't see what happens.
There's a big difference between a team having 2 championships and 4. It's a big difference.
But they won afterwards. That's what I'm saying. If they don't win another championship after KD leaves, Isaiah's statement holds water. It's mad. But the fact that they won with the same core people, the same core that they had, they win another one without KD?
Okay, let's be honest now. They had a young core. Poole and those guys balled. Poole was like the second leading scorer.
But what you're saying?
Got punched.
What you're saying? Come on, man. Stop throwing the punch was afterwards.
But they would have kept winning.
But what I'm saying is they won one. They got the people around them without a Kevin Durant person, type talent, and they won another. So by them winning one, you can't say that they're legacy because they proved they could do it without him.
Okay, 2 and 4 championships.
But I'm not talking about how many. I'm
talking about legacy.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the fact that they won one without KD, 3 years after he leaves, can probably show that in that stretch with KD, they might have won one more. I'm not saying they would have kept winning, but they might have won one more during that 3-year period.
But you just made my point. It took 3 years for them to win another one.
Because they had to put some stuff together. They basically took everything off the shelf to get KD. So when KD left, they didn't have anything in the cupboard. So it was going to take them a few years to bring that whole, strength in numbers concept back. Right? They bring it back. Now Curry's messed it up because he's in the whole, I want to stay with the old heads, and now he's losing people. He loses Kevon Looney, and I hope Kevon Looney averages 15 and 10 over at the Pelicans.
Absolutely. And they got Poole. Pelicans.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Look, this conversation might continue off air. You might see me going live later on. I might have a black eye, scratch around my neck because we will fight. But it's going to still be love. I'm still going to offer my man some water, and everything. So, that's going to end for today. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a very spirited conversation. I guess it's the pressure of getting close to number 100.
Hey.
But whatever it is, we enjoyed it. So I apologize for the bad language. It wasn't too bad. I'll know if my auntie sends me another text message.
Well, you better be careful.
So look, like, subscribe, comment, follow. Let us know what you think. We'll be putting some of these bits and pieces out there. And I'm going to end it like I always do. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. We out.
Peace.
Street cred sports, say it with your chest. Yeah. Go get it from the net. Street cred sports, okay, that's a bet.